Millions of Americans living with bone marrow disorders are finding new hope in a new treatment option. Oncologist Dr. Carolyn Baylor and MDS Foundation Executive Director Tracy Araka are here with me now. Welcome.
Great, thank you.
I'm happy to have you here. Dr. Baylor, I want to start with you. Can you tell us about MDS and the most common symptoms of that disease?
So MDS is the long word for it is myelodysplastic syndrome, and it is basically a disorder in the bone marrow. The bone marrow makes our mature blood cells and helps keep us keep the red blood cells up. And if the bone marrow isn't working right, it doesn't produce enough cells. So one of the most common problems is anemia. And patients can also experience low red blood cells and platelets, but anemia is usually the primary cause of symptoms.
And there's a new treatment for those living with anemia caused by MDS, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So we can always give red blood cell transfusions to raise red blood cell counts, but treatments are aimed at trying to avoid those because those can be really cumbersome and difficult for patients. Usually the first treatment is a booster shot of a drug called EPO that helps the bone marrow produce more red blood cells, but it doesn't work for everyone. And even if it starts working after several months or sometimes years, it stops working. So it used to be that we didn't have any other treatment options, but in April, a new drug called Reblozyl was approved, and it works in a different way to help the blood cells mature. So different mechanism, and it can provide hope for patients who had no other options previously that they could potentially avoid red blood cell transfusions.
Tracy, what are the challenges for people living with this disease?
The first challenge is that most people have never heard of MDS. So really the most important thing is to see an MDS specialist to make sure that you confirm your diagnosis and then really just get educated, get as much information as you can to learn about your disease so that you can be a decision maker and communicate with your healthcare team on your treatment.
And what resources are available for people living with blood disorders like MDS, and where can people find those resources?
Sure. Thankfully, many resources. There are webinars, handbooks, online and print resources, animated patient videos, counselors. We have a patient liaison at the MDS Foundation. She can set you up with other patients for peer support and support groups. And these resources can all be found on the MDS Foundation website. It's mds-foundation.org.
All right. Thank you so much, both of you, for being with us. We really appreciate it. And we'll be right back with more Midday Maryland right after this. Stay tuned.